Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Satisfactory 1.1 video. I thought today we'll just have a nice little chat in regards to some new things that you might not have known have like sneakily made its way into the 1.1 updates. And then also I want to talk to you guys on some things that have now been fixed and addressed internally. That either have ran, that come in the patch yesterday that got released on April 4th. And then also some that are going to get pushed out in the next few patches, which is either going to be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, roughly either 7th, 8th, or 9th. And then also talk to you guys and address some questions, some common questions about some issues that you guys are having in regards to, is this broken, blah, 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 blah. It's the most common things that are asked either on Discord, the live streams, or in the YouTube comments. So I thought I'll talk to you guys about some of them also. So if you are still playing on the release branch, the release candidate, which is Satisfactory 1.0 still, and you are still curious on when 1.1 will get pushed to 1.0, I don't have the exact answers, but I can just tell from experience, normally it's usually in the experimental branch for roughly 4 to 6 weeks. It might be sooner if many issues don't arise, or it could be longer depending on, you know, if there's any major issues. But right now, this has been, I think, one of the most stable releases in the experimental branch that I can truly remember. So who knows, it might be sooner. There is some things that are popping up there and then, but again, well, you know, that's expected because once you release a fix, usually a bug comes with it. So let's see some new features that you might not have even known about. Right, so the first feature I'm going to talk to you about is now you can place the actual sorting machines, so the mergers, splitters, and all this kind of stuff, on the underbelly of a foundation now. Normally, in the past, to get these up there, you would either, you know, stack them on top of each other to get to a certain height, for example, like that, and then delete the ones underneath, or you would either get a belt, place that up here like so, and then get that to place along here, and then you'll have to kind of organize this so it's nice and straight and then place it up there. That's the way it's been in the past, but now you can just grab it and place it on the ceiling, which is a nice little cool addition, which, to be honest, I don't think I really use up there in my playthroughs, but you might use it in yours. The next thing I kind of wanted to address is not actually a new addition to 1.1, but it is still something I see new enough at least 5 times a live stream, especially, which is something to do with power cables. Not a lot of people knew this, is if you're playing around with cables and you're working on nice and tidy cables underneath your factory and all this kind of stuff, let's say on a logistics floor, and you have a wall outlet underneath like this, and you have a power going down here like so. Let's say you're doing some work on a factory over here, or part of your factory over here, and you've got cable that's coming down here and you want to attach it to this one, right? Most people will kind of bring this in here, they'll delete this cable and then attach that to there, and then attach that to here, right? Just like that. But there's an easier way of doing this. Not a lot of people know this. This is an old thing, so this is not new, so you might already know about this, some of you, is if you actually just, if I connect this back up again, if you actually get hold of a wall outlet, you can actually aim at the wire and you'll see it highlight orange here, as you can see. And then you can just click and place. It actually keeps it connected. And the benefit of doing this is that you're not going to bother the power that's being passed through these cables. So if I was to delete this cable and put down and attach this power line to coming in, you're actually going to shut down that factory, and that might cause a few issues in regards to a factory you have, and then you're wondering why things are taking a while to buff out because you've got it on a manifold line and they take a while to heat up sometimes. So that is a way of doing it. You can also do this with, you know, your power poles. So if you've got a power pole here and a power pole there, and obviously these are connected, you can do the same thing. Aim your power pole at these. You can now split it off so you can see where the new power line's going to go, and if I click that, boom, it changes it, replaces it. So this has been out for a while, but this is not part of 1.1, so I'm sorry if this is now took over this video, but it's something not a lot of people know about, so hopefully that helps you in regards to power. Right, the next thing is train lines. So there's a new feature they've added with train lines, which is very similar to what they introduced in 1.0 with block signals. And what that is When you place down a railway track, the only time you can do a turn on a railway track is when you have two different tracks intersecting with each other. So what I mean by that is when you place down a track and then you create a cutoff point, which was here in the middle, that's when you can then do a turn. Well, that is no longer the case anymore, because all you need to do is you just aim at the track. So you can see that's the snapping point. If you go 1.5 away from that, which is here, you can now see we can now place this track anywhere right here. So you're going to create a snapping point for yourself. So you can actually branch off from anywhere now on the track. You don't need an existing snapping point to be there. Very much how block signals introduced that with 1.0. So when you was to place down a block signal on a track here, what it'll do, it'll create a split right here, right? But ignore what's just happened, because you must be wondering why this is still white and this is still white, even though this has been here, because this is a new bug that's been introduced into 1.1, whereas if you're aiming at this track, you can only see I can only place it towards me. I can't flip it. I'm using the mouse wheel. If I change the build mode, it switches to the opposite side, but this arrow's always facing here. And I can't, for some reason, there we go. It's a bit finicky to be able to place it back down again. So now you can see it's created a different spline here. So now that's a different one compared to what it was before. So if you are having an issue, that was something I was going to address later on in the video, but it's just popped up now. So whilst we're dealing with this, so if you're wondering why your signals aren't turning and facing the right way, because right now it would usually snap to the other side, so the arrow would face the other way because that's the direction we're going. It's happening like this, and it's a bit of a pain in the ass. So the best way to do it is just press R again, and just use your mouse wheel, and sometimes it'll fix itself. And if it doesn't, the only way you can really do it is just create a new delete part of the track and then replace it. It's a bit of a pain in the butt right now with 1.1, and it will get fixed pretty soon. The next thing is with Ada. We all love Ada, but for some reason, this 1.1, they've released a Ada dialogue which randomly appears when placing down, let's say, a constructor, like this. And it does it at least every time you load a save. And if I was to go and place a beam, she's probably going to do it again. And it might get a little annoying. Sometimes you might have to build a couple, but she might end up popping up. She pops up at random intervals, and some people are finding it quite annoying. And all you need to do to get rid of that is if you go into options, go into gameplay, scroll down, and it says, oh sorry, it's here, disable narrative messages. You can just disable that, click apply, and that will disable Ada from actually speaking. The box will still come up with the text, and if you are in a multiplayer or in a server with other people, they will still hear it. It's only for you, so it's only audio side for you, but they will still see the message and the voice, so they have to turn it off from their side themselves. So that is one way if you don't want to hear random Ada voices that appear coming up, which, to be honest, when I'm recording videos and she just randomly speaks out, I'm like, she just rudely interrupts me in most cases. So yeah, that's a new little feature if you want to change that. I just want to clarify, if you do disable Ada's voice, it will disable Ada's voice throughout the entire game. So it's not just the random dialogue she's saying now, it's also the milestones and all that jazz. So just to clarify, it will disable all of them. So hopefully Satisfactory allows us, or gives us the ability to disable the random quotes that come up, but it's a little bit annoying in my eyes. But that's me personally. That's my own opinion. So do you remember in the past, in many videos of mine in previously, where I'm like, oh, I want free placing to be actually a thing in Satisfactory. So for example, you know how we want to place a beam, or if we wanted to place a conveyor power pole to a specific location, the way we would kind of do that is, right now you can see you can only snap it to certain points. In the past, we had to drop down a, have I got a plate? I'll just use a reinforced plate. Oh, I've got plates there. Normally, you would have to drop a plate, find the correct location, and then you can freely place the conveyor pole. Well, you don't need to do that anymore. This is not a new addition. It's more of a little, it's a better fix for this if you want to do it, if you wish. Once you've unlocked elevators, and you go into transport and you're going down an elevator, let's say I'm just going to put this here. I'm going to build this up to here, right? And what this allows you to do, now you can place it freely. So you can see on top of elevators, it allows you to place things freely. And it's like that with other things as well. So if I wanted to grab like a power pole and I can bring it on here, and it allows me to place it freely. So if you want to be a bit more dynamic in your save, yeah, it's a bit of a building tip, I could say. So if you wanted to be some, you know, micromanage some building when you're doing some decoration on pieces. But if you wanted to go back to snap, I do wish, and I have asked if we're able to like hold Alt at some point and be able to just detach from the grid, just so we can kind of maybe place more freely, and maybe that will be a feature we get soon. TM, who knows, maybe in the next 1.2 or 1.3 or 2.0 or 3.0, whichever. But yeah, that's a little building tip which I found out in 1.1. Right, the next thing I want to show you is drones, and I'm going to show you by my beautiful artwork here in Paint, because in pre-update 1.1, drones only ever used to go north, east, south, and west. So if you had two drone ports, location A and location B, they will go this is how their flight pattern would be, right? So they'll go up, right, kind of like that, right? In 1.1, they can actually now finally fly diagonal, which helps throughput drastically, because we know how bad drones are for throughput, especially with the smaller containers that they actually handle. So you would have to, like, you know, make more drones. But now with them being able to fly diagonally, that's going to shave, you know, time off what it would be to go from here to here, right? That's going to be a lot quicker. It's basically a shortcut, and it helps drastically with drone throughput. Right, the next thing I want to talk to you about is the Hypertube again, but not technically the Hypertube, because in the past, when we had a flashlight and it was turned on, we would go through a Hypertube and we will come out of the Hypertube and it'll be turned off. Well, now we can actually go through it and it will remain on. Just as a demonstration purpose there, I actually turned it off through the Hypertube. So when we come out of Hypertubes now, as you can tell, the flashlight now remains on, which was a big sign of relief when I saw it for the first time when I booted up Satisfactory 1.1. And oh boy, because it was just so little. Yeah, it's not hard just to press B on the keyboard, but at the end of the day, when you forget to do it sometimes, why is it so dark? And it was, yeah, my flashlight's off. I've just been through the Hypertube, right? So yeah, nice little feature that's been added to 1.1 finally. Right, so the next thing I want to talk to you about is, right, so the second thing, and I want to kind of go back on what I was talking about in the first video I did, which was the Blueprint Auto Connect. There were so many people saying, Bitz, yes, you can put belts and pipes to the edge of blueprints. I just wanted to clear something up. Yes, you can, but no, you can't. And the reason I say yes is that's only if you're doing a dedicated highway. So, for example, if I was to go into blueprints, and you can see here, this is just a belt. And if I was to place this down, I could then go over here and attach this to this, right? You can see it's connecting all fine. And if I just click, I can even extend it like you wanted to, right? And it does, yes, for those people wondering, if you do extend, it does add more aluminium plates, as you can see in my build. Right, so it's not. It is going to consume the items from your inventory. It's not like you're not going to get free real estate when you extend your belts, and you're not going to use any items. So yes, I can connect this up like so. But this is where you've got to hear me out, because this works like this. But what you're not thinking about is when you have foundations or decorational pieces inside your modular blueprint. So if I was to put the foundation here like it is, and I was to get this belt and take it all the way to the edge, or the pipe all the way to the edge, just like these ones, they will not auto connect, because with belts, you need a little bit of a snap within the auto connect, and it won't allow you to connect to these. Well, it will, but it'll leave a gap between the blueprint. So the pipes and belts will connect, but if you put the other blueprint here and bring the foundation to this bit, it will not connect. That's what I mean. It does allow it for rails. I'm going to put a message up here from Lim, who has now said he has now fixed this internally, so in the next patch, either coming out next week or something, this should get addressed, so we can then put them all the way to the edge of the foundations. This will be included, the actual attachments as well, I think, but I'll get back to you on that one. So hopefully that will get addressed soon, and hopefully that's a little bit more clearer. So if you're just doing belts, pipes, or train lines, it will work, no problem whatsoever. But when you have decorational pieces, when it goes to attach, it actually attaches it like a little bit further away, and the foundations and everything don't attach with it. So that's the only reason I said that in the previous video. Apologies if I didn't make it clearer enough in the last video. Hopefully this one is clearer. So hopefully that is now understood, I think. The next thing I wanted to show you is in regards to the elevator chassis. If you remember in the previous video, I talked to you guys about how right now you should be able to get the foundations to attach to the actual elevator shaft, but we can't right now. So what we have to do as a temporary fix is press H, lock it into place, bring it in front of the door like so, and then place it. I can confirm that Lim has also now told me that this has now been fixed internally, as well as what the blueprints have been fixed internally as well. So this has now been fixed, and hopefully in the next patch, or the next couple of patches, we'll now be able to attach it to the actual lift itself without doing this, and it will be aligned up and not misaligned like in some occasions when you are doing this and pressing H. Sometimes it can misalign, and it was driving me nuts the other day on the live stream when this central line was not lining up with the bit in the middle of the elevator. It was actually to the right a slight bit, and even if I was to control right or control left, it still wouldn't line up, and it was a pain in the butt. Right, the next thing that's also now, it's just been fixed in the latest patch that came out yesterday, which was if we go into the build mode, go into gameplay, no, controls, the invert look has been re-added. It was accidentally removed, but it's been added. And oh boy, I didn't realize how many people use this, because you guys in the YouTube comments went a little crazy on this one. But yeah, invert look is now back in the settings. Right, the next thing I want to talk to you about that has now been fixed as well is the actual belts, so the lifts, sorry. When you had a lift, I can't show you now because I've already gone through all my lifts on the live stream and fixed the ones that was bugged. When you had a lift and you had a belt, for example, or even another lift connected to the actual lift itself, when you had items going in, for example, items will be coming down. It's a visual bug. It's now been fixed internally, and it's also been released in yesterday's patch, so that has now been released and fixed in the current experimental branch. So to fix this in your save, if you still have it, delete your lift and replace it. You will need to redo your lift. But I need someone to science this for me, so if you do have this issue, let me know in the comments if this worked for you. And what I mean by that is getting your lift, just replacing it to a different tiered version, and then building it back to what it was. Let me know in the comments if that actually worked for you, so people don't have to manually delete the lifts, and see if the replacement actually works. I would think it would, but let me know in the comments if that works, and then we can just kind of spread that through the community to make sure that people are doing that instead of deleting them, because that'd be a bit more of a pain in the ass because you might have really high ones. The next thing I want to show you is when you're on a train. This is a very small minor thing, but myself included used it a lot, and I know a lot of you guys used it as well, is when you're in the train, you can't unfortunately go into photo mode anymore to actually remove the UI. That was a quick way of doing it in the past. So maybe this is just a bug, or it's a new thing that's been added because of the new camera mode. Maybe it doesn't work in the trains, but we'll see. The next thing I wanted to show you was the helmets. If you remember in the previous video, which was Tuesday, I did send you on a little bit of a manhunt to find the new helmets that Coffee Stain showed in the experimental release video they did with the elevator. Well, we found them, but the developers found them because they only added them into the 1.1 yesterday. So they wasn't really in the game, and they are not collectibles. I thought it was going to be collectibles, and it's weird how they just added them in here. So there's now new helmets. You can literally go in here, you can have the headband one, and you can have the Katia ones. There's a bit of a visual bug on here because this is showing like it's gold. So if you do have the Founders Edition of the game, it might not even just be the Founders Edition of the game, but if you have the Golden Helmet, which is the DLC version, for some reason, this one's coming up gold or copper, whichever. Actually, it could be the color of your base. I don't know. Anyway, this color's not right. It's going to come out as the same color as your actual overalls. They've also added something different, which is an RGB one, which allows you to move at 69% faster, which is weird, isn't it? And they've also added a build gun as well with RGB as well, which helps you perform buildings 69% build quick. So get on my level, you spoons. So yeah, they've now added RGB ones as well, which is kind of unique, right? So yeah, you can move at 69% fast. Look at me, move a lot quicker now. Speed. There was actually no speed increase. It was a bit cringe, wasn't it? And there we have it. That is just going to be a nice little video for you with some new additions that got added, some broken additions, and some stuff that's now been fixed internally or also fixed yesterday. So hopefully you all enjoyed the video, and as always, keep smiling, and I'll see you in another bloody video.